Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabriel, coming at you straight from Queens, New York this morning. And today, as you can see, we are going to make a quick response to Abba and Preach's most recent video. Black People Farm. Steven Crowder isn't even trying to hide his views. Literally finished watching or rewatching it a little while ago just to refresh myself on what they said. Now, here's my thing: is Abba and Preach here? They're comedians, right? Crowder is also a comedian. He has never claimed to be anything more than that. His show has never claimed to be anything more than a late night comedy show. So you have a pair of comedians here criticizing another comedian for being too offensive and for being wrong with their facts. So it's just funny how you have the fools calling out another fool for being too foolish. You understand what I mean? Like, so don't even get me started on the whole aspect of free speech when it comes to comedians, because you have here two Canadian-based comedians trying to dismiss the work of another ex-Canadian comedian. Wow, that's saying Canadian and comedian is kind of actually difficult. But anyways, let's go back. Let's rewind the tape here. And the funny part is
the purple grid is designed for the best sleep.
Is that they one of the worst parts, right,
recently
is that they criticize Crowder for being disingenuous while they themselves are being disingenuous. You cannot take bits and pieces of a nearly hour show and then say, I know everything. This man right here, Preach, doesn't even watch. He doesn't even watch. Abba says he watched. I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt it. You know, they say that his audience, or they are saying that their audience is telling them, you got to watch Crowder, right? And then they say that, oh, we do. And he's being disingenuous in his statement. So therefore, dismissed. You know, they don't even contemplate the things that Crowder is bringing up, right? So let's
I believe Joe Biden passed a form of stimulus that is going to encourage the farming industry as well as a lot of black farmers. A lot of the money is going to black farmers. And the reason for that is because in the past there's been a tremendous amount of discussion that they've made before.
So this is what the Crowder bit was about, and this is what they're reacting.
Steven Crowder heard about this.
Joe, former Vice President Joe Biden, of course, his America Rescue Plan includes farmer reparations. Now, what does that mean? It means, and I don't know where you find this many farmers of color, but they did, and $5.2 billion are being allocated exclusively.
If you aren't aware that black people farm, it's a very common thing, especially if...
Obvious joke. Obvious joke. This guy is literally taking a statement that Crowder said while smiling, while smirking, making an obvious joke, and look at how serious these guys are. They are taking that as if it was a statement of fact. They're like, oh, black people don't farm. And they're like, oh, if you don't know, black people don't farm. It's like, that was an obvious joke. Why? Because in America, black people are only 15% of the population, right? So therefore, it would be silly to assume that huge amounts of funding should go to black people that are farming. Why? Because most farmers ain't gonna be black. That's the whole point. Most farmers are not going to be black. So why is so much funding going specifically to black farmers, right? The whole criticism, if you actually watch the show, which they clearly did not because they just missed the whole point. The whole criticism is that you cannot fix past discrimination with present and future discrimination. This is race-based policy that we're talking about here, right? This is specifically racially engineered policy to try and fix the racial injustice of the past. That doesn't work. That never has worked. That never will work. You cannot fight discrimination with more discrimination. It is counterintuitive, right? You cannot fight hate with hate. You cannot put out a fire with fire. All right? Let's continue here.
If you go to the South,
You don't know your story. You don't know your history.
that's just plain stereotypes and ignorance, but carry on.
For colored farmers. Farmers of color, roll the tape.
We begin today's show looking at a major provision in President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that aims to
And then don't get me started. It's a COVID relief bill. Okay.
address decades of discrimination against Black, Hispanic, Native American, and Asian American farmers who've historically been excluded from government agricultural programs. The American Rescue Plan sets aside $10.4 billion for agriculture support and allocates about half the funds to farmers of color who are, quote, subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice because of their identity as members of a group, unquote. The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights confirmed as long ago as 1965 the U.S. Department of Agriculture discriminated against Black farmers, but little was done to address the problem.
100 years ago?
Yeah.
100 years ago. 1965 is not 100 years ago. Are you an idiot?
1965, right? Quick math. 35 years puts it 2000. 20 years more on top of that puts it 55 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, it's not 100 years. They literally just rounded up. You can round up 50 to 100. That is a thing that people do. It's, again, they're taking one. Just peep the overreaction, right? Peep the overreaction.
Is Crowder surrounded by some of the dumbest people ever? That's like 60 years, my friend.
It's like
Do you not know how to count? It's less than 60 years.
You know when you saw that video, we did that video, all the riots and stuff like that, and I was like, Seven Crowder is being disingenuous. What you said was
Willfully ignorant.
willfully ignorant, and now that's what it is. I don't know. He doesn't know his American history or something like that, or whatever.
It's just not that. He's got people around him who do the research for him. The fact that nobody could just do a quick Google search.
Most happy about the new policy, these people. So, yeah. I'm gonna buy a plow, man.
I'm gonna plant that corn.
Go get a John Deere. Barack Obama, mother. I'm the president. A plow.
Right. We have a COVID plan with racial undertones. Yeah, because the government making racially motivated plans has always ended up well for our people, right?
On that ass.
You. Crowder's gonna Crowder.
These guys are so cringy. These guys are unbelievably cringy, and they're.
You guys got in your feelings. Crowder got into Abba's and Preach's feelings rent-free so hard. So hard. They are butthurt. They are super butthurt. And they are so emotional that they can't even objectively look at the criticism that Crowder is throwing at the government. Because Crowder isn't criticizing the people, he's criticizing the government. The government is making racially motivated economic decisions, and you think that that's okay. Why? Well, because it's your group that's being the beneficiary. It's never okay, no matter who the beneficiary is. Racially motivated plans will always be wrong.
Their undertones are so apparent, it's crazy to me. Might as well just put on blackface. Might as well.
And then, I mean, they are leftists, so of course they're going to say, oh, he's a racist, obviously. That's why he's wrong, because he's a racist. Again, you're criticizing him for being disingenuous when your criticism is disingenuous. You can't simply call him racist and then dismiss the entire argument. That's not how genuine people act.
Might as well. Honestly, this kind of like crazy characters that you're trying to drive as you're doing these, this is just cringy to me.
This week, the mystical, age-old culture of China.
Oh, you.
And then they take a bit from years ago years ago, because they know most of the people in a lot of their audience doesn't watch Crowder, so they know that they can literally show anything to miscategorize, like misinform their own audience about Crowder, right? Even Preach here admits what Abba did, right? Abba pretty much did what CNN and MSNBC and all of them be doing, right? They take a clip completely out of context from years ago, from something that has nothing to do with anything that's being talked about at the moment, and they show it as if it's relevant.
Good. Yo, you good. You good. You kept that at the end? Yeah, you good. That was good.
It's just jokes, guys. Okay.
Wow.
Cool.
He just kept that at the end. That wasn't in that show. If anybody who watches Crowder knows that the guy in the gay show, that was not Gay Jerry. He hasn't worked for Crowder for years. Right? So this is my problem. These guys, they go on to just keep criticizing Crowder for being disingenuous, while their entire premise, their entire argument is based off of a disingenuous point. They edited what they showed here about Crowder in a disingenuous way, and like many leftists do, they dismissed all of the points Crowder made simply by calling him racist, right? And here's the thing. You can call him racist, but then you, in the same light, you stand here and defend Robert Downing Jr., Iron Man, when he did Tropic Thunder, because he was in actual blackface during Tropic Thunder, and the whole point of Robert doing Tropic Thunder in blackface was to show the absurdity of how some people actually take blackface seriously. Right? He used racial humor as a comedian to point out how absurd that stereotype is. You as comedians have a responsibility to uphold free speech no matter what, even when you don't like it. But Crowder got you to so in your feelings that you're here insinuating and just telling him, oh, he should just come out as a racist. He should just be a racist. Yeah, he's not even trying to hide his views. What views? Right? You obviously think that he's racist, so that's what you're trying to insinuate. Right? But you're being disingenuous. And you are so aware of your own disingenuity or whatever that you do not outright say it. You do not call Crowder a racist because you know that would be wrong and that you could get in trouble for doing so. That's why you don't straight out do it. Anyways.
Story. Cool story. If you guys think that's humor, if you think that's trying to be funny, cool story. You can't use a veil of humor to say this kind of stuff and always be like, it's just comedy. We know the difference. And most smart people know the difference, okay?
Wow.
Right? I can't just,
And it's a common leftist tactic is, we are so above, we are so much high caliber than you that we know the difference. You plebs obviously do not. Come on with the freaking BS, yo. Because I could easily do this to you guys, right? Let's go back to Netflix and your whole take on cuties, right? Another point where you guys got so in your feelings because cuties is part of your industry. Alba used to be like a dancer or whatnot, right? Nah, but preach, right? You're part of that industry that you actually defended cuties, right? Remember? So I could easily snip up bits and pieces of cuties, snip up bits and pieces of your commentary, and insinuate that you're okay with adults having sexual relations with minors, right? I'm not gonna call you that. I'm not gonna call you the P word, but I can say that, well, you're not even trying to hide your support of the P's. All right, I could do that, but that would be disingenuous, just like you're being right now.
put on say like.
I thought the last thing they would want to do is be farmers. Wasn't that a big problem for hundreds of years?
Yeah. Isn't that why Arsenio Hall called himself the urban man's Johnny Carson?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Are people lining up out in the middle of cornfield, Iowa for new dunks?
How would you prove this, by the way? Like, how would you prove that you've been discriminated?
It's easy. You guys, this has been settled in court. This is not hearsay. Not only has the department admitted to these practices in the past, but they've had to settle in court as a result of being brought to court. And it's the largest settlement post-civil rights movement in regards to this matter. It's like so much money was allocated. This is like in the 90s that this happened, this settlement, to handle this. And you guys have to understand, the farming industry is like a bunch of subsidies.
Right. So he goes on to explain how the farming industry is pretty much, it's always like you always need loans when in the farming industry because the farming on its face isn't profitable, right? And what you guys missed out, or maybe just are leaving out on purpose, I don't know. I don't know how, if you actually bothered to look it up. This is policy based on equity, right? Equity. They looked at the end result, right, and assumed that it was because of prejudice type of dealings. All right. So to make the end result more equal, they came to these type of settlements. Right? It's not based on equality of opportunity. It's based on equality of outcome. Right? Again, the government making race-based policies is always bad. Always. The government is an evil on its own, right? By default, the government is evil. It's a necessary evil, quote unquote, right? So you have to understand that these settlements that are being reached, they're not based on equality of opportunity. They are based on equality of outcome. They are looking at, oh, look at this. X amount of farmers are white, and X minus whatever percentage of farmers are white. So we need to give the black farmers more money because we need to have more. The number of black farmers being successful need to be closer to the number of white farmers being successful. Some nonsense like that, right? That's equity. That's equality of outcome. That is bad. That is bad. All right. You guys have made this argument yourselves in the past. Equality of opportunity is okay. Equality of outcome is bad. Always has been, always will be. This is why the government thinks that racial policy is okay. This is exactly the type of shit that civil leaders of the past fought against. We don't want handouts. We just want to be left the frick alone. You cannot advocate for the government giving one group something when a different group isn't getting the same. And then you guys just completely miss that, yeah, America, guess what? It's still 60% white. So, of course, more white people are going to be getting loans in the farming industry. Hello. You got should white football players be getting more contracts because there's less of them in the NFL? Does that make any sense to you? No, right? It should be based on what the actual needs are. It should be based on merit, not on race. This policy that Crowder is criticizing is based on race, not merit. But you guys got so in your feelings, you missed. That shit flew right over your heads. Just flew right over your heads.
It's a bunch of loan programs because farming is not profitable enough on its face. So the government constantly has to subsidize it and do this so that they can compete with the global market and still provide food to Americans and people all over the world. Right? So the government has to put money into that. When you say I'm not going to give money to black farmers or I'm not going to give money to people of color who farm, you are essentially killing them out of the market. When white farmers are getting these subsidies, they're getting all this money, but then we're not. That causes an imbalance in the market. This is not hearsay. You can Google these verifiable facts.
That's not an opinion either.
right? And you're basing that off of the government's, right? Here's the thing. Like I said already, America is mostly white. As a result, a lot of industries are also going to be mostly white. So when you are looking at the end result of loans, of where loans are going, you will more than likely always see a massive amount of those loans going to white, because the industry is mostly white. That doesn't mean that the loans themselves are racially motivated. That means that the marketplace happened to be like that. So then what these policies are doing is they're looking at the end result. Like I said, equity, not equality, equity. They're looking at the end result and working backwards to say that it's because of racially motivated reasons. It's not because of racially motivated reasons. It's because of demand. It's because of demand. And for you guys to stand there and claim to be knowledgeable and then claim that Crowder isn't knowledgeable is disingenuous on your part again. But it doesn't matter, because you guys got in your feelings about this. You guys got so butthurt about this. It's hilarious.
You know, how could you even prove that redlining happened? Easy. There's cases that have admitted that have showcased this. My problem isn't that they have these opinions, it's that they can just Google this stuff and find this information.
How would you prove that you've been discriminated against?
You don't have to. You just
well, I didn't get that loan. Sir, you had no credit. Well, that should not have stopped me from getting the loan.
I planted a Hennessy tree.
And he's feeling.
Yeah, you know, listen. I got big lips and large ears and a wide nose, and I suck in all the oxygen because I'm like a monkey.
Instead of actually making an argument, they just insinuate that Crowder and his people are racist. I mean, this isn't a point. You guys are not making a point. All you're doing is saying, he racist, so he wrong. That's literally your entire video. You guys didn't bring a point at all. Not in a genuine way. Right? Because the only point that you brought up is that the government says that there has been inequality. That's the only point that you guys brought up. That's the only point. Other than that, what did you say? What did you say? You said the government said that there's been inequality. Oh, and also he is racist, so therefore he is wrong. That's all you said in your video, and you standing here acting as if you made a point. You didn't make a point. All you did was point at the government and said, well, they're making race-based policy, so therefore they're trying to fix race-based policy. Wrong. You guys are the ones that are in the wrong here. So do better. You know, pay more attention, because this ain't it. This ain't it. And guys should be ashamed of yourselves as comedians.
They might as well just said that. It's pretty much what they're saying. A Hennessy tree, really? Yeah. You know, and they're like, how could you prove you're discriminating against? Is that what you think? These guys are using all the worst caricatures to try to rewrite history and almost discount the suffering that real people have gone through to see, like, you guys didn't even go through anything.
That's what he's been doing.
Bro, and people are like, you should debate Crowder. Why would I debate someone like that? This man's disingenuous. I don't mind people who would have a different opinion, but at least are honest about the facts. This man is a blatant liar. Yep. He panders to his crowd because they like hearing this stuff. Because
saying that he panders, saying that he's disingenuous, you know, when Abba over here can't he has a cringe face on the whole time. Preacher over there is rolling his eyes the whole time, and they acting like they offering an objective view of the matter, you know, when they are obviously in their feelings, But that's what I'm gonna say, man. You should definitely watch Abba Preacher. Aside from their occasional just terrible take, like their take with cuties, and you know they defended cuties. They defended pedophilia. Aside from that, and aside from stuff like this, where they themselves are being disingenuous but accuse somebody else of being disingenuous, they tend to be pretty funny. You know, I like their outro song too. It's pretty sweet. So, anyways, yeah. Thanks for watching. Catch you out in the next one.